Hi everyone, my name is Francis Medina, and for today we will talk about frequency distribution table and how to make histogram. So first, what is frequency distribution table? Frequency distribution table is a table with two columns, one labeled with the categories, intervals or values, and the other with the corresponding frequencies. A frequency distribution is a summary of this type of data. It gives us the number of observations within a specific interval, shown either graphically or as a frequency distribution table. Tables can show their categorical variables or quantitative variables. You can think of categorical variables as categories and quantitative variables as numbers. It divides a dataset into a suitable number of categories. Let's try this. Let's consider the total length of time to eat lunch by 40 employees of XAS company. First, we will make a frequency distribution table with 6 class intervals. First step is to look at all the given numbers thoroughly and arrange them from smallest to largest number. Then write the class intervals in one column. Next, tally the numbers in each category based on the number of times it appears. Finally, write the frequency in the final column. Now, here is the final outcome of a frequency distribution table of XAS company. Next, we will be making a histogram. So what is histogram? A histogram is a visual representation of the distribution of quantitative data. Histograms give a rough sense of the density of the underlying distribution of the data, and often for density estimation, estimating the probability density function of the underlying variable. The total area of a histogram used for probability density is always normalized to 1. If the length of the intervals on the x-axis are all 1, then a histogram is identical to a relative frequency plot. A histogram is the most commonly used graph to show frequency distributions. Here is the final histogram graph that we made. It is made based on the frequency distribution table that I showed you earlier. Take a very good look at it for you to learn and analyze the picture. Let's watch some video to understand more how to make a histogram.
In this example, I have a collection of different numbers, and we're going to create a histogram for this data. Now, one thing that you want to identify is the values that should go along the bottom and the values that should go along the side. Along the bottom, we put the values of our variables. So what things are we talking about? Well, it looks like we're talking about some 7s, 8s, 9s, 10s, all that good stuff. So I will put that along the bottom. Perfect. Okay? Now, along the vertical bar, this is where we put our frequency. In other words, how many of these things do we have? Well, looking at all my data, looks like the smallest number of things is like maybe only one of them. And the maximum number of things I have is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh, 5 eighths. Okay? So I want to make sure that my scale over here has enough to handle at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 things. There we go. So again, this represents frequency, and this represents the values of our variables. Okay, so let's start off. How many 7s do we have? Looks like we have 1, 2, 3. So in my 7 category, I will create a bar that goes up to 3. Just like that. When I get to my 8 category, I count up how many of them I have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And I make a bar that goes up to 5. And you can see how this process plays out for all the rest of the numbers. So when I get to the 9s, I only have 1 9. I get to the 10s, I have 3 of those. Get to the 11s, Oh, I have 2 11s. Looks like 3 12s and only 1 13. So now we've created the different bars for our histogram, and you can see which variable is the most frequent. It's basically the tallest bar. And there you go.
Again, my name is Francis Medina, and I hope that you learned something from this video. Have a great weekend, and thank you for listening and watching.